Okay, I'm making one more. So there is a Spirit Day today, and it's MSU or U of M. And I actually was asked who is better, MSU or U of M, which I think is I understand it's a very common question, but I think it's a crazy one, and this is a great time to answer it. So why do I think it's a kind of a crazy question? To assume that one is like better than another. It really oversimplifies both of them. So it's almost like comparing cities. Like, what city is better? Well, I mean, that depends who you ask, right? I mean, I've been to Chicago and I've been to New York. I like cities. I like Chicago more than I liked New York. Maybe that's just because it matches my personality. I don't know. And maybe someone else, they'll like New York better than Chicago because they have a different personality. That's expected, right? Maybe you don't like either of them because you don't like cities in general. Maybe you're more of a country person. But the whole point stands. You wouldn't be crazy to argue that, or you would be crazy. I'm sorry. You'd be kind of crazy to be like, oh, New York's better, like point blank. It's like, that's an opinion, right? I mean, it just is based off of your personal preferences. So it's kind of a weird argument. That's kind of how I feel about MSU and U of M. It depends on your priorities. It really does. Now, I think people get caught up in just like reputational stuff. So like University of Michigan has, I'd say, a more prestigious reputation. People always say it's like the Ivy of the Midwest, whatever the heck that means. You can talk about how elitist and kind of problematic that title is. But, I mean, if you're interested in agricultural research, MSU is more respected across the world for that. So academically, if you're in agriculture, it's more prestigious to go to MSU, not U of M, right? It just depends. It depends on who you are. If you're a person that like cares about atmosphere and cares about student life, well, a lot of people say, well, MSU has better student life. They have better Greek life. We have better nightlife. Some would disagree on that, right? But like, that's the reputation MSU has. Also, some people will say, well, like MSU, I'll give you my example. So MSU has a worse reputation. Their humanities departments. It's like the English department. That's where I got my degree. I think on average in the public perception, I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I think just generally speaking, people assume that, the University of Michigan has a more well-respected English department than MSU. They're more visible. I hear them on the radio all the time from University of Michigan. I mean, not to say I don't see them from MSU either. But just because the general public perception privileges one over the other, that doesn't mean that if you go to the other institution, you won't meet incredible people and do incredible things with them. There's brilliant people everywhere, regardless of the reputation of the institution that they work at, right? So, bottom line, what am I trying to say? I genuinely don't think there's one better than the other. I think that's a really weird way of thinking about it. Go to the school that matches the priorities that you have. Okay, think, what do I want to get out of this school? If you just want to brag about like the school you went to and like how they had the best football team, like go ahead, like pick that school based off of that. I think that's a really silly way to decide something so important, but do it. Go ahead. Like, that's your priority, right? But if your priority is to get the best education possible or to meet the most interesting people that are the most interesting to you, do some research. Figure out who would you be studying with? What are the professors like? What's around, right? Like, the city of East Lansing, the city of Ann Arbor, very different, right? So, like, what opportunities are there geographically around you? What kind of people are there that you're interested in meeting? All good questions. They're going to be different. Neither is better than the other. Sorry.